We should be in theory anyways. And even as I do, messages come in from Stephen Chenault. Maybe I can get him to join us. He probably will not. He has been sending over bunches of NPCs and chunks of Gods and Monsters second printing. How's it going, Epi? I got messages coming in on the left flank here. All right, he wants to see if he can join us. So let's see if I can manage this. How's it going, everybody? How's it going, Snow Quilter? Why did I say quitter? That was rude. All right, there we go. I have sent Davis the link. How's it going, Ultra Magnus, Retro Gamer? How's everybody doing? Probably, Jason. Probably. All right, hold on. I got the delay. There we go. All right, good. Now we're all set up. And a little bit of last-minute print shop stuff to tackle. In theory, we got a truck coming in tomorrow or Thursday with a mountain of Codex Egyptium, Codex Celtarum, and something else. I can't remember. Another book. There's another one. But lots of stuff coming in. And then we got to finalize some of these small titles for the Codex Egyptium Kickstarter. That one, Steve. Mark would like to know if you got... I did, actually. I clicked it, and I saw what it was, and I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I definitely will. At first, I thought it was spam. It's very rare that I get an email that's... I shouldn't say rare. It's often that I get an email that's got no anything, no text in the body or anything. It's just a link. I usually delete those without thinking about it, but I saw that it was to you and to me, and I thought, well, that's probably Mark sending that. That's probably not spam coming my way. I never know, TLG has been hacked once to the tune that our FTP site, is that what it's called? Whatever. Our storage, our digital storage was being used by a BitTorrent site at one point, slowing us down. That happened years ago. And then I got hit with a virus once that started a black dot in the middle of the screen until it just it slowly grew over the entire screen. So I tried to I try to not hit random links that are sent to me. But I'll check it out. I mean, it's obviously an RPG that the guys put together, and it might be cool to dive into and have a gander at it. That is what we do, after all. You were right to be suspicious. You should have written something. Yeah, I've been getting a lot, actually, from Tyler, and it's not from Tyler, but it's from Tyler's email. About once every 10 days or so, I get something from Tyler that's just a little link, and I'm not hitting that. I keep forgetting to tell Tyler that, but there you go. And how's it going, Commander Pete? Yeah, the dodgy links it's just not good. I think the only site that I regularly hit that's a problem is thesaurus.com. That's very convenient and it's very quick to go to, but I seem to remember that dictionary.com, of which thesaurus.com is part, loads like a mountain of crap onto your computer as soon as you click it. I try to stick with what is that site? Merriam-Webster's? No, I actually pay. It's one of the very, very few things I pay for subscription-wise, because I'm just such a suspicious fellow. Yeah, Merriam-Webster's got it great. If you don't subscribe to it and you got a little pocket change, I think it's $5 a month. It's well worth it. Very, very well worth it. Tyler's doing good. I talk to him about once every 10 days or so, and I need to holler at him. He needs to get over on Discord. He got off of social media. It was taking up too much of his time, I think, and social media can be a little bit contentious. Is that the word I'm looking for? People get kind of worked up a little bit on social media, and I think he was just tired of it, so he left. And he had some stuff to do. He's got kids and so forth and so on. So he had all kinds of stuff going on. But I talked to him quite a bit. We send jokes back and forth. He said he had a present for me. I don't know what that was, and I'm very suspicious. Suspicious of anyone sending me strange things from the past. Of a cesspool. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, what I started to say with that is I'm going to try to get him to come over to Discord and join us over there, because it's Castles and Crusades and Amazing Adventures and Victorious and Tainted Lands and all of these things, and it's not that whatever's going on wherever. MySpace, my MySpace has been pretty quiet. Is it still a thing? That's awesome. Yeah, I need to set up a MySpace account. We're setting up something new. What are we doing? We're doing something. I can't remember what we're doing. Wait, I think we're going to Indiegogo. We're going to give Indiegogo a try. We're going to do the Rune Lore book. For those of you who have been around for a while know that Rune Lore came out as its own hardcover years and years and years ago, and it had the rune mark, some spells, some rune spells, the Gotland playing area for Aird, and then a whole bunch of adventures. I think like 14 or maybe 12 little adventures that were all linked. So what we're going to do is I want that out as a box set. Those adventures are really cool. The art's great. And I'd like the whole thing kind of packaged as a box set. So we're going to do a box set like we've done some of the other ones with Rune Lore. But we're going to put that one on Indiegogo and give Indiegogo a try. Bill Webb has great things to say about it over at Frog God. I was just talking to him yesterday. He's been telling me to go over there for a while. But we're going to do that very soon. So my live journal is banging. I don't even know what that is. Haunted Holler painting. I have no idea what that is. My Isabella Fisher needs to play Castle. There. Say... Isabel Fisher needs to play Castles and Crusades. Isabel, you need to play Castles and Crusades. It is a fantastic game. She is sitting across the room, casually listening. I guess I shouldn't read everything that you say. It's going to ruin the whole thing, isn't it? Well, there you go. Facebook is the new MySpace. I'll tell you what, Facebook's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's okay when, we always used to make fun of it. We used to make fun of everyone who posted pictures of their hamburgers and their steaks and their vegan meals and whatever they're eating. I kind of miss those days. When Facebook and Twitter was just a bunch of people's dinners. Well, that was kind of cool. I thought it was goofy. I kind of like it now. I wish we could go back to that. But there you go. Yeah, that's what I need is a TikTok account. Good Lord. Nobody needs to see me dance. Though I believe there's some of Dave. I think he did a couple of TikTok dances and did that. Put them on Facebook, I think. Am I right? See, man, you're going way back, Blood Wild. That's the way to do it. Yeah, message boards, are those still a thing? I know TLG has a message board. I don't think I've been there in 2 years. I need to go over there. I kind of like the Discord. I'm trying to get... I don't even know what is so different between Discord and the message board. I mean, I always liked going to our message boards because they were pretty, we didn't allow any politics or any religion or any opinion of that type of stuff. I don't want any of that discussion anywhere near what TLG does in Castles and Crusades and Amazing Adventures. It has no place, in my opinion. And so the message boards were always nice to go to. There wasn't any of that contentious. And I think 2 or 3 times that when arguments had erupted, I just deleted the entire thread. Or Tim did, or Jason did. It wasn't Jason Vay, it was the other Jason Alexander. Whoever, we just deleted it. And we kind of got the same philosophy on the Facebook too, the CNC Facebook page. Yeah, some people do the old forums. I'll tell you what I wish I could find, Bloodwild, is the original, and I had them bookmarked forever, the original TLG forums. I have no idea where they are. If they would be saved somewhere. They were black in the writing, the headers, whatever, were orange and the lettering was white. And that's the one, those are the boards that when Gary passed away, I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was 8,000 posts. I can't remember. Maybe it was 800. I don't know. A long time ago. But it was so many posts, kind of well-wishing and all that stuff. And there's a whole lot of history there on those boards. The original CNC playtest discussions happened on those boards, but I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea where to even find them. Maybe Chuck can find them. The Telnet bulletin board. There you go. Yeah, Jason needs to start joining us more often on Discord is what Jason needs to do. That's a deep cut. Question. I was looking at the TLG store today and saw the Auftrag box set. It says the box contained 5 of the 21 levels. So what's the status of this Herculean effort? So Rhino, what is it? Rhino Dino? Here's the plan. And it keeps getting pushed off week after week after week. And I'm getting a little frustrated, I must admit. So the idea with Auftrag, it's going to be tied into 2 other products that we're working on. Of Gods and Monsters, which Davis is hammering away on a lot now. I mean, he turned over Hobgoblins, Halflings, and something else. Maybe Kobolds. Hobgoblins, Kobolds, and Halflings just last week. And he was Skyping me. He can't get on the Twitch, sadly. He Skyped me with the Dwarf Deities. He just sent me the Dwarf Deities. So a lot of stuff's going on there. Got another message of Gods and Monsters there. But it's the idea behind Auftrag is that I want to couple it with the Planescapes book and the of Gods and Monsters book. We've got the Mythos books, all steaming forward, and those are all extra planar mythology, godlike creatures, and so forth and so on. So obviously Auftrag fits right into that. So my thinking is the way I want to tie these products together is as we develop the Planescapes and kind of flesh all of that out, when you're playing through Auftrag, I can actually, if you go extra planar, or if this gate or portal takes you to the Wretched Plains, or takes you to Gehenna, or takes you to wherever, we've got all of that material ready for you to go. So the concept is, as Davis wraps up of Gods and Monsters, and I think I'm done with my part of Gods and Monsters. Most of that's Davis, I think. But anyway, so as he wraps that up, and I've been hammering on Planescapes as opportunity permits, I want to just dive into Auftrag. Now, we've got obviously all the levels are kind of laid out in my head, and Peter has worked on, but I pulled him, he's drawn some of level 6, and that's where we are. So here's the idea on it. Once Egyptium is done and gone, which I'm hoping that's on the trucks headed to us, I'm hoping by next week we're resolving that Kickstarter completely. Gaxmore I wrapped up on Friday. I spent all week last week kind of retooling the entire thing. It needs a lot of proofing and a lot of kind of just touch up here and there, but that's pretty much done as a workload for me. Now it just kind of shifts to other folks. I've got to get the chapters of this Castle Keeper's Guide to Mac Golden. He's got chapter 1. He needs the rest before he can continue editing. And once those things are done, my schedule frees up, and I shift focus immediately to Planescapes and to Auftrag, and I hope to write them kind of concurrently. So I'm hoping in the next month or so we see level 6 take shape. And I've gotten about half of it written, but that takes shape. And then I'm going to start knocking 1 a month out after that. That is the plan. Faster if I can manage it. It just kind of depends on how chaotic things are here. The Kickstarters going forward don't require a lot of attention from me, so that's a good thing. A lot of them are a little bit on autopilot. The Monster Treasures of Arid 5th Edition is really just, it's already done. It just needs art colored, and that's not on me. The layout won't be on me. So it's nice. Hopefully in the next few weeks, I will be diving into Auftrag full-time. Me and Peter both, because I need Peter to do it. I need Peter to be freed up as well, because he's drawing it, and we're both kind of, I've envisioned it. This is what level 6 is. This is what the contents are. This is what we have to have on there. Now, Peter, go. So he starts creating tons and tons of rooms and halls and other kind of stuff. And then I go in and flesh out what he's drawn, because the idea is Auftrag. It's huge. It's basically a city. So that's where we are on that. I'm really hoping in the next month I'm able to sit here at this stream and say I am ass deep in Auftrag, which would be absolutely great. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Did I miss any questions? I don't think so. I think we're talking about Discord here. Discord's really it's pretty easy. I kind of like it. Have a license for Planescape? No. I'm not doing, we're not redoing, it's not going to be called Planescapes. I don't even know what the book is called. It's called Planescapes on my whiteboard, but but that's not it. I'm going to do a planar book. in which we go. What I'm really going to do is go into each of the planes, very much like the original Planescapes in conception, though I don't like some of its delivery, and make the planes very playable for Castles and Crusades, and that's the idea. But I'm going to tie it to Erd. That is one of the discussions that we've had for a long time around here, whether it should be or should not be. Like if you take Gehenna, I'm working Gehenna right now, and Gehenna is a part of the Wretched Plains. And the Wretched Plains, of course, the plains of chaos and evil, and where the devils and demons live. Well, Gehenna is going to be the long trench between the Wretched Plains and the Void. I think that's kind of how I'm going to build the whole thing. So it's going to be kind of woven together. You're not going to, if you don't use Erd, you're not going to, miss anything. You're not going to have Erd to play. It's all going to be right there for you to use however you want. We missed how Alstrag is related to Amp. That's really kind of an interior thing, Jennifer. What I'm doing there is because Alstrag, is particularly as you go up in higher levels, there's going to be gates and portals, and Alstrag is in the world of Erd, but it is hell at the same time. So if you aren't playing Erd, but you want to play Alstrag and you want this to be, a part of hell, it's going to be helpful to actually have the planes wherever you want to do, however you want to place it and whatnot. Pawn Dream, I like that. Codex Planum, that's or Planum. That's pretty cool. I like it. I like the whole. I love the Latin approach that we took to the mythology series, and that kind of fits. That's kind of cool. The plan is it'll have. Now we're going to retitle Of Gods and Monsters. The book that we're doing, we've taken Jim's core and really expanded into a very player and CK friendly book. That's going to be the bookend for Brian Young's mythology series, and the other bookend will be the monsters of myths. And we're going to take a lot of Brian's monsters and put them into this book. And the Planescapes got to go in that somehow be related. But actually, Codex Planum would be kind of cool, where we just wedge that in with the mythology series. And that's what I want to work on Alstrag. I love Alstrag, and I kind of want to flesh it out. And I want it done so that you guys and everybody else can play it. I don't want it sitting around any longer. It's been 2 years already at least. But what I really want to write is the Planescape stuff. I really got into that recently in creating this adventure that I did for my own game group on Thursday that involved not really plane travel, but kind of plane travel, and they passed through Gehenna and ended up inside this god's mind and all of this stuff. And I really liked it. So that's what I really want to write is dive into that and finish my Uric series. I've been going nuts with the Rings of Brass and Amazing Adventures. Yeah. So Jason really has been doing that. And that's the tie-in, of course. It's already leaked out through the Amazing Adventures side of thing. But Jason and I have worked pretty hard to kind of tie Amazing Adventures to Castles and Crusades and allow you to kind of funnel back and forth. I wrote about it a little bit in the Ruins of Innsmouth that I did for Jason's Amazing Adventures 5e stuff. So it's so much that I want to get done and that I want to put forward. Get the crew on. Everybody will be working on it, of course. Peter's already working on a cover for the plane book. Just all kinds of stuff. While Jason is here, just in case we lose him. So Jason just finished today, I think. It might have been yesterday, but today or yesterday, finished fulfilling his first Kickstarter that he did from Elf Layer Games. That he's had that company forever and a day, but he's decided recently, a year or so ago, Jason, is that about right? To pick it up and go full bore, and TLG is 100% behind him. Jason's a fantastic game designer, an extraordinarily good writer. So he just finished fulfilling his first Kickstarter through Elf Layer called Night Shift. What is this? Night Shift Veterans of the Supernatural Wars. And I got to tell you, I grumbled at him when we were talking. He asked me a few questions, and I grumbled at him about the size of his book. I didn't like the concept of it, but I was completely wrong. It turned out really cool. To give you an idea, so our books are standard 8.5 by 11. Jason's is slightly. Where's the damn spine? Jesus. His is slightly smaller, I don't know if you can see that. It's a black book to demonstrate that crazy. Good God. See, that was black too. Good Lord. Anyway, so you can see it's slightly small, and what's really, really, I'm sure, Jason, the game is cool. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but the cover is matte, and it's awesome. It's something that I have toyed with for years about doing with Castles and Crusades, the Player's Handbook at least. to doing a matte version of the PHB. I just never have. Don't know why. But this thing, Night Shift, is matte, and it is awesome. It's just very, very cool. I love it. I'm a big bibliophile. I love books. I love hardcover books. And the glossy books that we publish, never quite my style. They've got the, the school book look to them, which is cool because you can take them, if you see if I can do this without making a god-awful mess. You can take them and pour water on it. Can you see that? I don't think you can see any of that. See? And no damage is done to the book. And at a table filled with beer and I got a puddle of water on my desk. With a table, filled with beer and Coke and water and whatever else we drink when we're out bebopping around, it's good to have a little extra protection on these things. Yeah, it just ran right off. It's perfect. Nothing. That was a little beating. But that's the joy of these books. I would not do that to Jason's book, but I bet you it would sustain a little bit of water damage without getting. I'm not going to try it though, Jason. So, but I got to get a towel real quick. I'll be back in a second. All right, just made a mess. But at any rate, very cool. Check it out. Hey, can we get a link, Chuck or Tim or Jason? Throw a link up in the chat there if you haven't already for Night Shift, because he's finished his Kickstarter and it is for sale now. You can scoop it up if you want. Very cool stuff. All right, there you go. Snatch you a copy if you can. I don't know what's going on. All right, clean the water up. We're good. Okay. See, Rhino's enjoying it already. Excellent. Is that chair wearing a hat? Yes, that is my hat back there. That's what that is. It's been so damn sunny lately. Every time I drive, I put that hat on. I wear glasses, and I haven't had my sunglasses updated with the prescription. So when I put them on, it's okay, but it's kind of annoying. So I just wear the hat. It's just done with it. Yes, indeed. It's also I don't know if I can show that on Twitch, but there's a Colt 45 over there too. So I probably should put that away. I just unloaded the truck not long ago. I did not mention the Steins. Yeah, so we were down in... Actually, we weren't. It was just me. Todd's on vacation. Everybody scattered. Tim's pulled his shoulder, dislocated his shoulder, and God knows where Davis is. But I was down in the warehouse the other day making room, and I found a whole box of of Codex Classicum Steins. I think there's 10 of them. So... we threw them up on the thing. We discounted them, I think, half or 30% or something. So if you want one, definitely go snatch a Stein. No problem, Jason. You worked hard on that thing, and we got a lot of TLG work too. So all's good these days. Excellent. Yeah, check it out, guys. The book really looks good, and there's a really good chance that the 8th printing, the Player's Handbook, which we are approaching faster than I anticipated, is going to be matte. There's a really good chance for it. Minimally a version where we do, one matte and one not. We'll see how we play that out. It'll be coming. Funny timing. I just started using that codex for a campaign I'm writing. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. We'll water damage some PHBs. Throw them in there. You're good to go. Yeah, so there's the Stein. Let me see if I can. I promised Tim I'd get a picture of this today, but I failed to. Now, there's one thing so this is the Stein. That's a little design. Oh, good Lord. I can't find my camera. Always ridiculous. It's a little design put together by Peter Bradley. It's very cool stuff. Well, I tell you, Chuck, what we got to do is get the Castles and Crusades beer mug back in. Not beer mug. I don't know what the hell it's called. The glass one. That's the one I want back in stock. That one sold well, and everyone seems to like it. So that's somewhere on my hit list of many, many things to do. Now, speaking of which, I'll let you guys know today I just hired James M. Ward to write us a Pick a Path book for Castles and Crusades. Sent him a bunch of art, so he has begun work on that. I don't know how long it'll take him. Knowing Jim Ward, he'll be done by next week. But he is a prolific writer and a very fast worker. But look for a Picket Path book coming down the pipe very soon. There you go. Every week in Stein I need for my collection. Just when I thought I'd... That'll learn you, Jason. Fries, tries, toes, too. There you go. Great stuff. That's awesome. All right. So very, very cool. And, I didn't say that this... I should. It's Ask Me Anything. I'm Steve Chenault from Trollwood Games. If you aren't aware of that, and if you have any questions about what we do, about Castles and Crusades, Amazing Adventures, any of the RPGs that we do, Victorious, and so forth and so on, man, I've got to get with Mike Stewart on Victorious. He's got a whole adventure ready to go, and I have not gotten that finished. That's just too many things to do. We've got stuff log jammed all over the place. We've got this series of adventures that we're doing, short adventures that we're doing with Tom Tullis over at Fat Dragon Games, where we're taking his 3D printable material and making adventures with it. I've got 5, I think, now log jammed, ready to go to editing and layout. I just haven't been able to go. It's absolutely insane. Things are crazy around here, which is good. But I'm Stephen Chenault, and if you have any questions, give me a shout about anything, industry, whatever, whatever. I'm kind of a news hound, so I might be able to help you with news, whatever, whatever that you're interested in, if I am able. Been watching the whole Turkey and Greece thing unfold. It's kind of crazy. Check it out if you haven't followed it. The whole world seems to be rather upset. Everybody seems to be upset. And they're probably upset because they're not playing enough Castles and Crusades. That would be my takeaway. I just restarted my group, which has been on pause for about 6 months last week, including 2 new players who have never played CNC before. They love it. Excellent. That's very cool. And, it's one of those things. It's hard actually to get people to play Castles and Crusades, especially if they're D&D hounds, because they think Dungeons and Dragons. But once they start playing Castles and Crusades, and especially once they learn how versatile the siege engine is, they generally love it. People really jump onto it, and it's one of those things that I know that Chuck and Tim are working on crazy hard, is to get the outreach so that more people can kind of see what CNC and the siege engine bring to the table, because once you start playing it, it's hard to quit. It's very, very cool stuff. I got my Friday group back together for the first time since the lockdown. So this is Jason Vay. Happened this week. First time playing in months, and I very nearly TPK. There you go. That's a welcome home for you. Any TLG events for the virtual Gen Con? I found the events really difficult to browse as there's no filter. Any events anyone particularly recommend? It's funny because when I was down in the print shop, the mail room, the warehouse, when I was down at the warehouse yesterday, moving stuff, making room for the Egyptian book. I got all our racks out. I got banged up, whatever. Boxes torn, repackaged them, and stored them a little deeper since we had needed them for Gary Con and Gamehole Con and whatever other con. But I actually, and Tim, you're going to be stunned to hear this, I actually pined a little bit for the conventions. I've been going to cons every year since 2000, anywhere between 2 to 6 to 8 a year. It leaves me a little exhausted. And I've talked before about how a convention can really kind of mess up all kinds of, exactly. It can mess up production schedules and all kinds of things. And it does, especially something like Gen Con, because you're talking months of prep, and then a really serious week of prep before, and then the week there, of course, and then 2 or 3 days after to get the trucks unloaded and inventoried and everything put back together, and then to figure out what has or has not been done, or where you need to go, whatever. So conventions, I love them. It's a love-hate relationship with me, but I actually found myself kind of missing them. I hadn't been to one since Gamehole in November. And I have to say, and I say this, Tim, guardedly, this is to you, I kind of miss the floor at Gen Con. It's a big, huge show, 65, 75,000 people, and you're in the middle of this madness, and it's kind of cool. But at any rate, I'm not sure, but I don't know. To answer your question, Chuck, I think, is heading up all the conventions. So we will keep you posted. I'm not sure if we're going to be at Gen Con or not. We need to be. We need to get virtual everything. But there's so many virtual cons, popping up that it's hard to keep up. And I can't let it consume every weekend. Yeah, no, it definitely would, Pawn Dream. But Pawn Dream says even with virtual cons would be good to have a presence. And it definitely would, without a doubt. I did not care for Gen Con. It's just too big for me. Yeah, it is huge. It's very, very large. Easy to get lost. And, of course, now when we first went in 2000, it was probably only 30,000 or 25,000 people, and now it's just monstrous. And it's the whole tone. One of the reasons we quit going long before the pandemic, I think our last Gen Con was 2017, I think. Maybe 16. But we quit going because the show itself had shifted its focus away from role-playing games and smaller manufacturers into these very large Asmodeus, whatever that company's called, the bigger companies, and they certainly were still very welcoming and very accommodating to Trollord Games and to other companies, but the show, its focus and the attendees' focus had shifted elsewhere, and it was becoming kind of problematic. Excuse me. Never been to anything like Gen Con. Been to some wargaming conventions, but never on the role-playing side. I must do at some stage. A bit hard from Australia. It's a little bit of a flight. Yeah, I think I've always wanted to go to Australia, but 23 hours on an airplane just mortifies me. Davis is trying to get me to go to Thailand with him all the time. It's too long of a flight. I don't want to sit in a plane. I can barely sit in my car that long. Yeah, have I taken brain damage, Tim? Something has happened. Let's see, Belgium Spiel. Yeah, there's Eschen Spiel. We've looked at that once in a while. I met Illyrielmar, which was incredible. Other than that, I'm happy to stick with the smaller cons. Smaller cons are a lot of fun because everybody knows each other, and Jennifer and I, we always visit at Gary Con. It's just cool because we're all kind of hanging out and everybody knows. And Gen Con is not, certainly not that for exhibitors because you're working a lot. I mean, and you're up on your feet a lot. There's not a lot of sit down, and there's nowhere easy to get food either, so you can't even break free and go get something. We've talked about Dragon Meat. Peter Bradley lives in Leeds up there in the UK. We talk about going out to see him and hitting some of those. They used to have damn it, Dr. Pepper. They used to have a Gen Con UK, I think, didn't they? I'm not sure if they still do that or not. But Origins, I seem to recall we had a really good year at Origins a couple years back. Yeah, we had Origins is funny because we went to Gen Con in 2000, and then in 2001 we went to Gen Con and Origins. And it was a great show, but in those days it was more of a board game, miniatures, wargaming show, whatever. But it changed over the years. But we went a couple years back. We did okay there. The show itself infuriated me to no extent because of some of the ways they were managing it. Hopefully they fix that. We may or may not be back. I think we were going back this year, Jason, weren't we? Weren't you and Chuck going or something? Yeah, I would love to do a TrollCon if we can get someone to manage it. I would absolutely love to do a TrollCon. We minimally need to do a virtual one, but I would love to get back at table here in town, or near Little Rock or something. I mean, it's really, really cool. It all comes back to TrollCon Ultra Magnus. Yeah, I mean, it would be very cool. We had a pretty good attendees. We had like 200 people, I think, the last TrollCon we did, and it was all right. It was pretty cool. Hold your breath. For 10 years she has. Yes, indeed. Well, if Chuck would actually get something done, I'm joking, Chuck's working all the time, but we need someone to manage it, really, and it's because it's... to do it right, we've done them. We did a bunch of conventions in Lake Geneva, and we did them, of course, here. And I kind of did them, but only half-assed at best. It was really, at best, it was really just a place for people to gather, and that was it. So for your traditional convention thing, it does take a little bit more organizing and bringing people in, and all this other goobly-goop that doesn't keep me making books. So it's got to be someone else. I'd have to be in Little Rock, Jennifer. That's where we'd like to do it. Little Rock, Arkansas. That would, because it's got to be near us so that we can, structurally support it. But Hot Springs would be all right. It's a good town. It's a really good town, and there's a little bit. It's a little bit more contained. Of course, you can't fly to Hot Springs. I don't think. I think you have to fly to Little Rock, and then it's a 30-minute drive, 40 minutes. I think it's about a 45-minute drive. So getting down there is another bit of an issue. But Hot Springs is a cool town. We do need to at least do it virtually, definitely. Yeah, come on out, Mr. Obadiah. Arkansas is a great state. Doing it in the summer might be a little bit problematic because it's bloody hot. It's bloody hot, and the humidity's through the roof. So we're not quite Louisiana, but we're right above them. So it's hot and just humid. There you go. But yeah, I would love to do a TrollCon. So if ever we can get someone, that's super fired up and interested and willing to dive into it, TrollCon will definitely be good. Back on the table. There's so many things that we want to do, so many directions that we want to take. All of this stuff that we're doing, that it's a lot of hands on deck, which is good. Yeah, well, that is true. They do have a lot of resorts down there. There's something else in Hot Springs that I'm trying to get. There's some boat. There's all kinds of odd and end things. I got married in Hot Springs at the Majestic. Actually, it burned down, but that is where I got married. Also got hammered on a German beer joint with giant beers. Me and Davis kept making me drink more, and it was all horrible. Somewhere late in the evening. Grew up north of you in Missouri. There you go. Giant beers. The Stein was giant, but I don't know what the beer was anymore. And they were it was my wedding night, and they were plying me. Todd and Davis were plying me with these. I think we were at some restaurant, German restaurant. I'll ask Todd. Todd will remember. Todd always remembers the beer that Todd drinks. So using buckets as mugs, yeah. I can hop on the I-29 and be there in a day. Just there you go. I mean, it would be cool. It would be really cool for us all to get together and just game for 3 or 4 days. What the hell? I'm getting strange messaging now. All right, very cool. So, at any rate, anyone got any more questions about this, that, or the other? So now we know how it burned. Yeah, probably. Let me tell you, my wife is an angel, because I was hung over for the wedding. I mean, it was tough. My dad came in and offered to buy me some greasy eggs and bounced up and down on the bed until I almost threw up. It was quite an evening. How big a con do you think it would be? I'm not sure, Jennifer. I want to say we did right at 200 people previously. There's a few other conventions that run here locally. In fact, maybe we should do it. Let's not maybe. Sherwood is where we want to do it. We need to talk to Dakota McMurray, my nephew, who works for the Sherwood Parks and Rec Department. And I believe he's bucking for a job to manage one of their halls, and we can just do it right there. There you go. We do it in Sherwood. It's not quite Hot Springs, though. Hot Springs would be better. At any rate, 200 or 300 people, I guess. I don't know. Somewhere around in there. Yeah, something like that. That seals the deal. Probably. It was a German joint in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I don't know. Surely they haven't closed, but what the hell do I know? I hadn't been to Hot Springs in forever. We bought a dog down there 10, 12 years ago. I think that's literally the last time I went to Hot Springs. Steinhaus Keller. I'll bet you that is the exact place. I'll almost guarantee you. I'm trying to get a picture of it. Gallery. Yeah, so I'm like 90%. Let me go back to their homepage. So it sounds like the consensus is, Jennifer, that everyone wants to have the convention where I had my honeymoon, or my wedding night debauchery of beer. It's right there, the Steinhaus Keller. There you go. But there's a few conventions. There's a few conventions here in Little Rock. A couple in a few more in Arkansas, Fayetteville and whatnot. But no, the hotel burnt down. The Steinkeller didn't burn down. The Majestic is where I was married to Kathy, and I were married. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. And there you go. There you go. 35 to 45 games. Check it out. I mean, talk to Chuck and Tim. Tim manages all of that type of stuff, and Chuck's doing cons. So all I want to do is show up and do the do. There you go. Well, it's good to have motivation. Come down in the winter when you're just cold and it's nice and warm down here. It's 60, 70 degrees. Yeah, I have a feeling that's where it's headed, Mr. Obadiah. It's just going to be. It's all tying one on, and getting drunk everywhere. Yeah, I didn't. Well, let me turn this crazy. That was a fun night. I had a lot of fun. My wedding was a lot of fun. My wife put on a very good wedding. I had very little to do with it. Very, very little to do with it. I did the honeymoon. We went to Vienna, Austria for the honeymoon, and I had studied in Austria for a little while, so I managed the honeymoon side of things. She managed the rest of it. Still, are you getting more comfortable running games? I'm like, not really. I'm trying. I'm trying, Effie, but I don't know what it is. We switched. We did our first Discord game Thursday or Wednesday last week, whatever. And it was better, I guess, but some of the guys, their internet's kind of slow, so they're freezing up constantly and not hearing stuff. And I guess that's the part that I don't like. It's constantly having to repeat and constantly trying to figure out who's there. Plus, I don't know. It's just I'm going to keep going at it. I'm going to keep trying at it. Lord knows how long this, lockdown's going to happen, or whatever you're calling it. I think Arkansas is still in stage 1. I don't know what's going on. Oh yeah, Far Wander and Vic Danger. Vienna is, if you ever have the chance to go anywhere in Europe, and you always hear Paris and London and Prague, and no, go to Vienna. Vienna is really just the entire world has conquered. There you go. But Vienna is just a fantastic town. The people are very friendly. It's just the center part, first district has the old Vienna. And then as you get out, it's neighborhoods and whatnot. There's palaces, and it didn't suffer a lot in World War II or afterwards. And it's just calm. It's really my cup of tea. Under flavored water. There you go. I just absolutely love Paris is bad. London and Prague are great. Never been to Vienna. See, now I've been to Paris about 3 times, and I loved it. The people were friendly. I enjoyed Paris thoroughly. Mortified and horrified that Notre Dame caught on fire and all of that. But I've been to Europe a number of times. I lived in Germany for a while. Studied in Austria for a little bit. But I think the only person on that continent that was rude to me was, and I shouldn't even say he was rude, it's a disservice to him, is an Englishman. And the only reason that he was rude to me is it was 7:40 or so in the morning, and I was trying to buy some kind of map to figure out London, I guess, or something. I can't remember what I was doing. I was buying something, and there was a line of like 80 people behind me because I was trying to count out my pennies. This would have been 1991, 1989, I don't know, way back then. And I was counting out my pennies or whatever it was, and this guy grabs my hand behind me and he starts pulling coins out of my hand to pay for whatever I was buying, so that I could get the hell out of the line and he could get to work. So, I mean, he wasn't even rude to me. He was aggressively helping me. And I did have the funniest eating I had. As Tim knows, I have a very limited palate. And I really don't like to eat that much. And I eat a lot of meat. And I was in Paris. I didn't have any money when I was in Paris. None. And what I'd do every morning is I'd buy a loaf of bread and some ham. And that was my meal for the rest of the day. That's all I ate. And a 2-liter of Coke. But I was going to treat myself at one point. And so I scrapped together whatever change I had. And I went to this French restaurant and act like an idiot. It's noon. I don't speak French. And it was insanely busy. And the waiter comes over to take my order. And I'm struggling with the menu. And he goes, he grabs the menu. He goes, "You want this, and I got a cheeseburger, French fries, and a Coke." It was really funny. So even he wasn't rude. I mean, he had other customers. He had to take care of his people. It was cool. And I can tell you this. I can tell you this. I was in France, and I was a little bit lost. When I first went, I walked everywhere. I spent the first week just walking, so I could kind of learn the town. And I was walking somewhere near the Champs-Élysées. I couldn't find the Champs-Élysées, and then on my map, blah blah blah. And I remember I walked into, I'm pretty sure it's an American Express store, or whatever. I don't know, whatever they are, not bank, but whatever American Express has. But there's two women there. And Commander Pete, you're going to really appreciate this. So there's two women there. They're drop dead gorgeous women, dressed to the nines, the whole nine, makeup and the whole thing. Just, they look like models because this is their job, whatever. And here is scruffy, grunge-looking idiot with no money comes in, and I asked the lady, because I figured at the American Express store that I could speak English, which a lot of people in France did anyways. But I was standing there, and I said to her, "Do you know where the Champs-Élysées is?" That's exactly what I said, the Champs-Élysées. Those two women, they laughed so hard, but they were so friendly about it. They weren't laughing at me, they were laughing with me. It was so funny, because clearly it's the Champs-Élysées, it's not the Champs-Élysées. And they gave me directions, and I got there. It was great. But I've had a lot of fun in Europe. Absolutely had a lot of fun in Europe. A waiter in Rome once told me, "You want American champagne," when I ordered a Coke. Exactly. It's just easier. I will say it took a little getting used to. They didn't have ice in the Coke, so that was a little tough. And I like, as you know, I like very, very, very cold soda. If it's Coke, it's got to be on the rocks and whatnot. Turns out I can type through my Android TV box using a Bluetooth keyboard. Awesome. There you go. Rush hour in London, and there a load of people waiting to buy their travel cards. Yeah, I mean, it was me. I should have waited an hour and a half. Just, sat back and let everybody get to where they were going. It would have gone much, much better. I did see some funny things, though. I remember when I was leaving England and going to France, this guy in front of me, the customs agent, this woman, she's whatever, and she says, "I need to check your bag," and he said, you have no right to check my bag. And he mouthed off to her, and oh my good Lord, there was custom agents everywhere. His shit was scattered all over the place. It was really funny. Don't mouth off to custom agents. It's a bad thing to do. At any rate, I've digressed into my strange European meanderings. See, did any of your travels or knowledge of history influence what you wrote for Aaron? Oh, Ultra Magnus, it had a gigantic influence in it. There's a lot of names that spilled over from France, actually, and Germany, spilled over into the actual setting itself, so much so that I had to change them somewhat later. When I lived in Germany, we did lots and lots of castle hopping, and that gave me a really good idea of how tiny castles actually are, many of them, and narrow staircases. That played into the whole thing. And my reading of history, it's because my historical reading kind of, as soon as I finished graduate school, I just read whatever, and for the last 20 years, I just read whatever I want to read. If I see something on the internet, or someone says something, or a TV show that piques my curiosity, I just go read. The other day, I think I've mentioned a few times, I'm reading Central African history right now, and I saw some video pop up on the Rhodesian Bush War, and I'd never heard of the Rhodesian Bush War. So I watched a little video on it, and then I went and bought a bunch of books, and then there I am reading about it. So when you look at Aird, there's a huge influence from particularly the Plantagenet period of European history, when Henry II and his sons, of course Henry the Younger dies, but his sons Richard the Lionheart and John, and then Henry III, that's his grandson, Eleanor, all of these people, and then Francis, Philip Augustus. This is really the height of feudalism, I think, in France, and in France particularly. Now, Germany had a little bit of a different feudal system, and England did as well. But so that play just spilled into the Aird setting like madness, especially in Angoulême and Siena and Cayamar and Maine, countries in Maine. There you go. Maine is literally a province in France. They don't call them provinces. What do they call them? I can't remember. Yeah, just absolutely tons and tons of stuff. And I think that my studying of history and reading of, and actually going to places like Rothenburg in Germany, and even Vienna, where there's, you're looking at fortifications and you're kind of walking through these things, it gives you a very different understanding. Now, especially if you go to Germany, I strongly recommend you go to Rothenburg. It survived all the World War II somehow, and is still largely intact, and is still largely a medieval town. But I don't know, Hochhaus, can't say that anymore. In Austria, just lots of places. A lot of that stuff just spilled over. European history is extraordinarily rich, and it covers a wide variety of political and cultural systems that have spanned, 2,000 to 3,000 years. And it's not like other regions in the world. You look at the United States. I know we get made fun of because we're young, but we're 240 years of the same government, the same constitution. Europe didn't experience that very often, if ever. So you've got this kind of constantly flowing and this constantly evolving cultural offshoots from main cultures, and then political systems that are tried, tested, and evolved constantly. And the English monarchy, obviously, is the perfect example of that. But, that stuff spilled over in an absolutely immense sort of way. I have nothing but love for the European states. I've always wanted, and where I haven't gone is where I really want to go, is Poland. I really, really, really want to go to Poland and Estonia and poke around. Been listening to a lot of Estonian bluegrass, for lack of a better word. Folk music, it's the same as bluegrass music. It's just good stuff. I finished Eleanor of Aquitaine by Mead. Good read. Yeah, it was a great book. Strongly recommend that book. It's just, in this, my daughter and I were talking about this the other day. People have, and I think, Jennifer, we talked about this last week. Modern culture has worked very hard in the last decade to eradicate the role that women had, or belittle the role that women had in previous generations. And it's just erroneous on so many levels, it's mind-numbing. And Eleanor is the absolute perfect example of a woman who changed the course of history, and who, Lord, she was married to Charles VII? No, Louis VII. One of the Louis, can't remember which. She was married to Louis, and then she divorced Louis, and then she married Henry II, the greatest of all the Plantagenets, and arguably one of the greatest medieval kings that ever lived. And then she was mother to Richard II, the Lionheart. And I know we all know of him from the Robin Hood movies, but if you read about Richard, he was what the legend said he was. He was the consummate warlord. And then there's John. She was mother of John too, who has come down to us as this horrible king, but he was left with a bankrupt kingdom by his brother and had to do something. So he's known for that, and he lost, most of the Plantagenet lands in the France and whatnot. And then Henry III. She's still Is Henry III John's son? I can't remember. But Henry III, when he becomes king, Eleanor is still there. She's still pulling some of the strings. So in northern France and England, this woman controlled or influenced, or whatever word you want, for 60 years? I mean, that's a huge chunk of time. Absolutely amazing. I see, I'm missing all kinds of what are we doing here? Let's see. The original proposal for the U.S. Constitution was to be regularly reviewed and rewritten, if I remember correctly. That I don't know. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a living document or not. The Articles of Confederation, maybe? That was what we had first, and then they said, this didn't work, and I threw that out. But regardless, the U.S. Constitution has been, there was 10 amendments to it, and then what do we got, 26 amendments? 27? I should really know that. The last one's kind of a cheat because it's giving Congress pay raises. But, the government hasn't changed hardly at all. The Constitution itself has just kind of solidified certain rights. Obviously, 3 of the amendments freed slaves and made certain people had the right to vote and all this other stuff. And then another amendment gave women the right to vote. So it's pretty much standard. But in Europe, you've got highly evolving states and governments and systems. The feudal system lasts a very long time, of course, but it's very different in certain regions. Spain is very different from France. It's very different from Germany. And Belgium, the Low Countries, and whatnot. And then you go to Italy, and Italy. I just read some histories of Italy last year. medieval and Renaissance Italy, and it doesn't make any sense compared to what's going on in France. It's absolutely crazy. Now, Poland, I gotta get to Poland, man. I absolutely gotta get there. It's just, it looks so beautiful, and I think the Poles get really the raw end of the jokes and whatnot. It completely undeserved, and it just looks like a beautiful country I'd absolutely love to go to. And the people seem friendly, so. She was an opinionated badass. She pushed for the divorce and recognized Henry's ambition as real. She was. I mean, that's the thing that what it does when you study Eleanor, when you read about her, she was the most powerful of many powerful women. Others, they aren't written up in the history books, or they aren't written up as much. But like you look at Charlemagne, in his latter years, his daughters ran his kingdom. There was 2 of them or 3 of them, I can't remember now. But they ran the kingdom. One of his, when he died, was his grandson? I can't remember. Whoever took over after Charlemagne. One of their first things was to try to get his daughters out of the palace because they ran so many things. So this idea that women didn't have a voice and didn't have a role and didn't impact human history, or they were controlled by men and all this other stuff, is just not fair. It's not doing justice to countless generations of women for thousands of years, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. It really needs to, our scholastic folks need to take a step back, breathe a little bit, and teach what happened. Particularly in the one, let's see, have you read Bernard Cromwell's novels, particularly the ones on the Viking Sax? I have not. I'm going to have to check those out. I haven't read any novels in a while. I'll check them out. I love Viking stuff. Absolutely love Viking stuff, and it's difficult to find good histories on Viking material because most of it, it's so much of it's anthropological that you end up spending half of the history is discussing the burial habits and the eating habits and what their metals were made of and blah blah blah. But I'd like actually a concise history of the Viking raids, when it begins, and from Frisia all the way down when it begins, and all the way, not just in England but all over the place, because it started in Frisia before, much earlier than it did elsewhere. I would like a good history of that, but still have not managed to find one. Let's see. This is what I was remembering. The idea of amending constitutions at regular intervals dates back to Thomas Jefferson. In a famous letter, he wrote that he would provide in our Constitution for its revision at stated periods. Each generation should have the solemn opportunity to update the Constitution every 19 or 20 years, thus allowing it to be handed on with periodical periods from generation to generation. And there you go. And it's working pretty well. They've fixed it a number of times. The only fix that didn't work was the whole no beer thing. That didn't work so well. They had to recant that. But otherwise, and our last amendment is a sad, sad amendment that just ensures Congress and Senate get raises, which is just aggravating. But I know it's for all federal employees, but even so, we know why they voted it in. That's a sad amendment. But the other amendments tend to expand the franchise, expand freedom, expand things for various and sundry knuckleheads living in this country. Well, it still is working in principle, though. So Commander Pete said, of course, it didn't quite make it to the final version of the Constitution, but in principle, it's still working. Let's see. I'll have to check it out. Oh, Alfred the Great. See, now I love the TV show, The Last Kingdom. Fantastic show. And I love that period because that's the period that I really like in European history, because it's before feudalism is so stratified that you can't break from the feudal mold. But when it was forming in the era of Alfred the Great, 900s and stuff like that, especially in England. Think of women as interior ministers and men as foreign diplomats, different spheres. Absolutely, that's the thing. We've somehow, it happened, and we talked about this. It happened in the 50s and 60s. We somehow turned the role of managing the house or the palace or whatever into something less than. And it wasn't, I guarantee you, in the 1880s, it wasn't considered less than. It just was not. Everyone had to eat. So, and managing stuff is tough. And women are particularly gifted for that. That show is based on those novels. Is it really? Well, holy shit, then I'll definitely have to check it out. I did not know that. Oh my God, I just spent 10 minutes clicking squares with crosswalks, buses, and traffic lights trying to sign up for... Well, there you go, Jason. It is a challenge to be a troll. Let's see. session. No doubt you were about to finish the stream. Yeah, we're winding down. I think we're back on history again, Bifford. We're the U.S. Constitution and Eleanor of Aquitaine, I think, is where we ended up. So, all very good. Chuck, can't you just get him in? He's been employed by TLG for like half a decade. Can't he just be given a de facto entry to... there's one of the reasons that I quit going to our own message boards. It wouldn't, for some reason, my password wouldn't save, and I kept getting kicked out, and then it would lock up, and I'd have to wait for a password reset, and I just don't have patience for it, so I never went back. Thank you for the... thank you, Lord Gazumba, for the subscription. Very much appreciated. Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. Wait, fancy a small tricks of the trade Q&A? Like right now? Better make it small. I got to head out. I think we're doing the big one tomorrow. I think we're doing tricks of the trade. But yeah, fire a question over. My wife, Kathy's actually headed north to have some kind of meeting with a bunch of folks. So it's Elf Lair, Jason, TLG. But fire away, Bifford. Anyways, real quick, everybody, thank you for showing up today. Very much appreciate it. Love the jibber jabber we do here. And we'll be back again next Tuesday. Now, this week's GM's Tricks of the Trade, I forgot what that was called for a minute. This week's Tricks of the Trade is not Thursday. Very good friend of mine, Aldo Giazzi, who's in the industry, is going to be stopping by on his way to Alabama. He's taking his youngster back to school. So he'll be here Thursday, and I'll be hanging out with him. So we're going to do Tricks of the Trade tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I believe. I believe that's what's going to be happening. Bifford, were you going to shoot a question, or are we safe to have? There we go. My players have just said that they are used to character progression, providing more interesting and obvious upgrades as they level. A lot of the first, second, third level stuff is kind of character progression. That's not a big fiery sword, etc. Yeah, no, that is. I've heard that before. You gain a level and you don't gain a lot. Obviously, your BTH goes up a little bit depending on who you are. By second level, everybody should get, I think, maybe it's third for clerics, get a BTH bump. No, it's fourth. It's fourth level for wizards. It's a hard one. I think that for that type of stuff, I don't know. I try to focus on the role playing and try to get them more into what they can do with the siege engine as opposed to what the game gives them. So whether it's swimming a river or trying to use charisma to convince a bartender to give them less, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, because as soon as they start to learn, yeah, there you go. As soon as they start to learn what they can do with the siege engine, and very few, especially new players, don't understand yet, especially people coming from D&D and other games, they don't understand that siege engine allows them to do anything that they want to do, or try, I should say, to do anything. And once you've kind of convinced them that that's the route to go, as opposed to getting all of this crap that comes with whatever, they can actually try all kinds of stuff. And when they start succeeding, so if you're going to do it, if you're going to hook them on the siege, ratchet down the challenge levels. Don't make it so tough that they can't make it. And that way they get across the river, or they convince the bartender, or whatever it is that you want them to roll on. And suddenly they see, oh, wait a minute, there's other aspects to Castles and Crusades that don't involve this, and here's the rub. And it takes, and I've said this before, Castles and Crusades is actually very hard to play in that you have to retool your mind to come to the realization that you can try almost anything. And once you've made that leap, it opens the doors to your imagination, and then you just go. Then you're trying all that stuff that they do in the movies, the flipping and the hopping and the swinging on the ropes or whatever it is that they're doing. And that I think is the joy, and that's really what you have to do to try to hook them, because like you said, there's not a lot, and it doesn't get a lot better, to be honest with you. If you look at a lot of the classes, they don't start ratcheting all these abilities in. The game is kind of, there's some, but the game is kind of built around the idea that this is your story, you can go, and just like me, I'm not an expert wall climber, whatever, but I can climb a wall. I can try to climb a wall, so they can carry that over as well. That would be my first inclination.
I'm definitely all about the role-playing, not the role-playing. I think they can see that it's a simple, solid but system, and things have moved on in the 15 years. Fantasy Grounds Unity is being particularly unkind about their D20 roll, so I have stopped telling challenge level modifiers that can be a minus number in my head. Yeah, that's a great idea, Bifford, and that's funny about Roll20, and that's going to be with any of these games, and one of the ways that I have to adjust the way I play if I'm going to use these things. Because I will frequently think in my head, low challenge level, they don't make it, and I still want them to make it, so I'll change it. It doesn't. I don't want things written in stone. I want to control the flow, because really, if you have someone who's bored or wanting more, if you don't give them something, it's not going to cure their boredom. And at the end of the day, what you want them to do is play hard. You don't want them to be bored. It's not a matter of playing right or playing, you should do this, or in my day, it's not a matter of any of that. What it is, what it is a matter of reality, you want them to play. If you want someone to enjoy your movie, make a good movie. Don't make a bad movie. So you're on the right track, I think. But I would definitely try to get them to roll. Definitely do role playing, because that, like you said, that's cool. But definitely get them to where they're, even with the role playing, they're having to make attribute checks. Because the idea behind it is to teach them the value of the siege engine, to teach them what the actual, the real value of it, for lack of a better word. I don't know, the way to say that, because that's really the thing about Castles and Crusades and Amazing Adventures, any of the siege engine games, is you can do anything you want, and you don't need. Because the problem is these so many other games, you can't. I'm not going to do a swim because I don't have that skill, so I don't swim. I'm not going to, jump over the wall and try to land on a horse because I'm not a mounted cavalier. I don't have horsemanship. But you can try to jump on the horse. You absolutely can. Now, you might fall and break a leg. You might just fall. You might land on the horse. But you can try anything you want, even if you don't have the skill. They are refusing to do what I expect of them, but I expect them to not do what I expect them to do. Well, that's a good philosophy, because they're not going to do it. Yeah, I actually ran the last 3 games I ran into that. Only one of the players were doing what I was expecting. I was like, but that's frequently. It's tough. Running the game is tougher. It's easy to forget, but. Yeah, that's what I would do. The other thing that you can do, and one of our DMs does this, is just throw in magic items. Just toss in magic items. Just do it faster. I don't know how you normally run your game. I don't normally give out magic items early on. But if you want to kind of ratchet things up and have them with extra skills and whatnot, that's what I would do. But I would definitely push the siege engine left and right. Because it's really about rolling dice. And you want to role play. I'm a huge role player, and I love it when players role play. But if you wedge dice rolling into that, it just makes it all the better. That would be my takeaway from that. All right, but so we're a little bit over time as usual. I'm going to wander on. They aren't even hitting the 12 plus. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah. I got to tell you, so Mac, in some games we ran a couple years back, I think it was, I don't know. I want to say 6 or 7, 5 or 6. I don't know how many games it was, but he did not hit, not in one combat for like 4, 5, 6, 7 games. I don't know what it was. It was beginning to, he didn't care. He was just rolling with it, but I was beginning to get extremely frustrated because he needs to hit something. But at any rate, it's past 5, and we will be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock doing Jim's Tricks of the Trade, 50-something. And thank you all, everybody, for showing up. Very much appreciate it. We'll be back for AMA next Tuesday, and everything should get back to normal a week from now, or whatever, next week, and things will be calm, I think. Yep, absolutely. Pick up a Stein. Definitely check out Night Shift as well. Great game. Jason definitely knows his stuff. So everybody, you all have a no problem, Gifford. Thanks for asking, and you all have a great evening. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go cut up some steaks. We will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody.